Assault weapons, grenades, and tanks in the hands of local police. What some are now calling weapons of war are now easier than ever for law enforcement in your neighborhood to get from the federal government.
And now the feds are reviewing these practices of essentially militarizing local law enforcement. Tonight, 4 in Your Corner's Julian Glover is tackling the issue right here in Southwest Florida.
Yeah, he's showing you what's in the arsenal of your local police force from the front line to the home front.
Long after the TV cameras left the small town of Ferguson, Missouri. These are the images still fresh in the minds of Americans. Tense riots, flash grenades, police covered in riot gear from head to toe. Shotguns and rifles in hand, armored vehicles patrolling the streets as anger bubbled over. And military-grade equipment in the hands of police officers.
This is a war situation. When was the last time you looked around and saw that this was Baghdad? This is not. We don't need those here on our streets.
Dr. Pamela C. is an attorney and a legal studies professor at Florida Gulf Coast University.
What I see is a concern over the intimidation that the people feel.
Dr. C. and activists across the country are outraged that weaponry like this seen in Ferguson is in the hands of local law enforcement agencies in all 50 states. Thanks to a government program.
But they belong in a military situation. They do not belong on the streets of Southwest Florida.
The 1033 program, or the Department of Defense Excess Property Program, has been turning over guns and gear no longer in use by the U.S. military since the 1990s to more than 17,000 local police forces. 4 in Your Corner requested information from the Department of Defense on what military equipment your local law enforcement agencies have stockpiled. Here's what we found. The Fort Myers Police Department has received several items, from 3 dozen M16 assault rifles to armored cars and a mine-resistant ambush patrol vehicle, or the MRAP, seen here responding to a standoff in the city this summer. The Charlotte County Sheriff's Office has also requested an MRAP along with 7 helicopters over the years, several of which have been used for parts to keep their 3 working choppers in the air. The Charlotte County Sheriff's Office also has an explosive robot and 144 M16 rifles. Punta Gorda PD's grabbed just more than a dozen M16 rifles from the DoD. Cape Coral PD, following suit, has added 58 M16 rifles to their arsenal from the program, and the Lee County Sheriff's Office has 60 assault rifles. But the Collier County Sheriff's Office has the longest running relationship with the program, receiving 3 helicopters to upkeep their 2 operational choppers, 80 infrared units, a bomb robot, more than 371 M16 assault rifles, and countless emergency operation supplies, all of which Operations Chief Jim Bloom of CCSO says is critical for the department to stay afloat.
Either we wouldn't be able to provide a service, or costly would have to raise, taxes in order to supply that kind of equipment.
So that's the bottom line here. Without that program, the Collier County Sheriff's Department would not be able to police as efficiently.
That is true in my opinion.
But law enforcement agencies that have grown dependent on the program could be on the course for a rude awakening. In the aftermath of Ferguson, President Barack Obama has charged the Department of Defense with looking into how local law enforcement agencies get access to military-grade equipment. Meanwhile, lawmakers in the House have introduced a bill that would gut the 1033 program, something Dr. C says needs to happen now.
Doesn't go far enough. I think they ought to stop the programs. If your only tool is a hammer, everything you see is going to be a nail.
While the Collier County Sheriff's nails down how it would effectively police without help from the feds,
Collier County would take a tremendous hit from the loss of our 2 helicopters.
Cape PD is looking to opt out of the program, returning their several dozen M16 style rifles back to sender. Here's why.
The tactical response vehicle that we had was a Vietnam era vehicle. Come to find out, it was not providing us the level of protection for our officers that we needed.
Sergeant Dana Costin says much of the equipment they've received through the program is outdated. Many of the weapons and vehicles dating back several decades are just no match for modern weaponry.
It's incapable of stopping modern rifle rounds. Then you really don't have a benefit there at all.
They are no longer good enough for the military. If they're obsolete, why are they on our streets? If they're no longer any good for them, why are they good for us?
That very question is up for debate, as well as the bigger picture. Is putting military-grade weapons in the hands of local police healthy for the relationship between those hired to protect and serve and the people they're serving? Dr. C says no.
That intimidation factor doesn't play well with the public.
But for those on the front line, that answer is much different.
If we have the ability to have this type of equipment, especially very cheaply, why would we not want to do that to protect our community and to protect our officers? That's my question.
While the 1033 program has received heavy criticism for dishing out weapons to local law enforcement agencies, emergency response supplies like generators, tents, water trailers, and other equipment critical during recovery efforts are also a large part of the now controversial program. For more on this story and for a full list of what gear your local police agency has received from the federal government, just head to our website, fox4now.com. In the studio, Julian Glover, Fox 4 in your corner.